What's going on, guys? BladeZilla here, and today we are taking a look at I guess a pre-release of a Shirogorov Q95. This is in their Micarta color. These were offered at Blade Show Atlanta to a kind of very limited batch of initial availability. There's 3 other colors kind of coming down the line, and my goal here is to actually do a video with the entire group of 4 at the same time, but figured I would do a quick video on the Micarta, Maroon Micarta version for the channel today. So basically, as always, sit back, relax, grab a cup of coffee, Coke, wine, whatever you're into, and we're going to talk about the brand new Shirogorov Q95 Quantum 95 knife in the Ursus line, which I think is going to be just an absolute killer knife. Just from playing with it here for a couple minutes, taking a look at it, these things are just off the charts sick and are action-packed with features from Shiro that separate it from a lot of the other previous Ursus line in this series. So really excited to take a look at this. It is pouring rain, by the way, today, so you may hear some thunder or some raining sounds in the background, but I just wanted to grab the knife and do a quick video. So it may not be super long until I get the full series in my hands, but it's just too cool of a knife to not take a look at. So, as a reminder, guys, check out BladeZilla.ca. Here in Canada, lots of good stuff. Just finally got my hands on another one of these F3 Facebook knives. Super sick. Some Holts, some Pocillos, geez, CKFs, Microtechs, Protechs, a couple Demcos remaining, BMKTs, TRMs, lots of cool knives currently on BladeZilla.ca. But we're not here to talk about BladeZilla.ca. We're here to take a look at this killer knife from Shirogorov, the Q95. So let's start off with some measurements and we'll do some weights. I don't have a spec sheet on this knife, so bear with me if I'm wrong. Well, you know what? Welcome to the channel. I'm probably wrong more than I'm right. So let's start things off here. Overall length of looks like 8 3/4, which is very close to the old model. I think it was 8 5/8. I'd have to measure. Blade length should be 95 mils, which is hence the 95 of the knife's characteristic there, but on paper it's just a smidgen under 4 inches sharp, which is very key in a lot of markets. And then handle length on this guy appears to be 4 7/8 to the end of that backspacer, and I'll get a closed length because it should be the same, but it's a new thing I'm trying to do on the channel because some knives, when you close them, they kind of pop out the other end. So there you go, same thing. You're at 5 inches or less, kind of in that territory on the overall length of that knife. In terms of weight of the Q95, well, let's do that now. Get my little scale on here and take a look. Hopefully the rain is not bothering you guys too much. I kind of hear it, but I don't know if the mic even picks it up. But anyway, so let's get a weight on this. It feels fairly robust in the 4.7 range. There we go, 4.8, 4.7, somewhere in the high 4s. Let's go 4.8 on the true weight, right? With some oil on there and whatnot. I don't know what the spec sheet says. And to be quite honest, I haven't even read the spec sheet fully, which is fine. So we're gonna kind of learn this together and explore the knife together and take a look at this together. So a couple things that I want to put some disclaimers on this video prior to filming it, prior to talking about this knife. I'm a Shirogorov whore, and I love the brand, and just so happen to be fully stocked on a lot of Shirogorov knives in the store. So be aware of that. As long as you know that I like the brand and I like the knives, my predisposition to the knife will be probably that I like it. So just be aware of that. So let's get started. So we got Maroon Micarta here. Micarta is a super cool material. Some of them do get a little dry from just previous Micarta knives, and yes, you have to maintain them. So, you know, you can make them look nice and fancy over time, but they tend to dry out a little bit with use. This particular one, being brand new, looks terrific. Real nice. In terms of previous quantum Ursus knives, this is absolutely a first for Shiro in that it is a liner lock knife, where they've all been frame lock folders. So pretty awesome that they're going down this route. My first reaction to it is, what else is going to kind of go this way? This is a real unique piece. So are we going to see other lines, other knives go this way? Probably. Are we going to see variants of the Q95 in other materials? Probably. You know, the fact that it's Q95 Ursus tells me that there's probably other models coming behind it that aren't Ursus. Ursus are their machine ground blades. So if we open the speculation to that, well, what other models of Q95s could possibly exist? Well, possibly other materials. So not sure the timelines on that stuff, if it's even coming. This is all just speculation at this point, but it begs the question and has pretty good grounding in it that I'm assuming, you know, this is the start of a new series. So pretty cool. Okay, I feel like I'm talking quick because I'm just too excited. I guess pivot collars, that's cool. First kind of popped up on the budget end of things, I'd say, on the F3 Alatex knives, which, as you know, went like hotcakes, and they've kind of duplicated that here. So really cool to see that. It just looks sharp, very functional. Two different bits on the front side in the Shirogorov way with the small little bits. It does come with a tool, so I'll show that tool later, because on the flip side here, as you can tell, it's a little bit different. And I think that might just be an Allen key. Depending on how that tool looks, it could fit in there perfectly, but it might be an Allen key. I don't know. So pivot collars, F3 Alatex, super, super cool. I love it. Don't know if that pivot collar color is the same for all the knives as well, or if they've darkened it on some. Like I said, don't have them, so I actually don't know. It'd be cool to see if they change that, but the way it looks to me is perfecto. We've got a version of the same backspacer that's also on the F3 Alatex, in that it's full titanium. As far as I've seen, all the Ursus knives that I've ever come across haven't had a backspacer. They've all been standoffs. And I've got a couple of them here. I've got a Quantium here. I've got a Quantum Ursus here as well. I can kind of show. That's another knife. So there's a couple of them here. They've all been standoffs. I have other colors beside me and basically the same knives, but as you can kind of tell, they've all been fairly basic. Frame lock folders with some inlays. I have had a couple full tie versions come through of these, and I still do. This is the Quantium Ursus, so very similar pattern-wise. Material-wise, it's G10, not micarta. But once again, no pivot collars. That's all I'm trying to get at. And no backspacers, just standoffs. So keep that in the back of your mind. Having that on this knife is awesome. I love tie backspacers. It doesn't have to have the gear pattern to me. And if the F3 Alatex models were any indicator of that, they have sold like hotcakes because of this backspacer, and obviously the fact that it's Alatex, which is super sexy. When I first saw the price point on these, which I believe were in the mid sixes, like 660, 675 US table, I was like, what? An LMAX blade with micarta, with proprietary cool hardware? I'm like, that can't be right. So once again, you know, fully machine clip, tie backspacer, tie pivot collars, LMAX blade instead of Chromax, which is name brand. And it comes with a tool, which I'm going to pull out and show here. It was just like, what? This is next level. So I'm going to show this tool right now. Pull that out and I'll go over that real quick. Put that away and probably cut myself. So here's your Ursus line tool. A little keychain, which is great to kind of come with everything. As I expected, yes, it is. It looks like probably a 3mm and a 4mm. Do these pop out? I don't think so. Looks like they're machined right in there. That's so cool. And you know what? It's on the keychain, so you could put that in a lot of places. I hope people don't put them on the knife itself, but I guess if you wanted to somehow hang it off there, I'm sure there's ways to do it. That is, I imagine, not their intention, because that would just be ridiculous. But, you know, people will do things. So, and it's laser etched Ursus line, that's cool. And we'll see, that looks like a 3mm. So that's for your hardware there. Perfect fit. And then for your main pivot, looks like a 4mm or 5mm, I don't know, which just slots in there nicely. Quite nice tolerance-wise, no real issues. The fact that it comes with a tool is something that a lot of people have been asking for a little while as well. So a real nice bonus at that price point. You still need the Shirogorov bit on the front, but on these, you know, a penny would suffice. MasterCard or Visa, you could, after you order your knife, you could fold it in half as to not add to the balance. Because these are highly addictive in nature, you'll probably end up with multiples of maybe this knife, maybe other variants of Shirogorovs. But you can use that credit card because it's a softer material than the hardware, you won't mar it up. Which is awesome. In terms of that flipper tab, well, you still get the quantum look in that it's basically built in, it looks like, into the tip of this, versus an F95, which kind of has a little lump in front of it, which we'll do some comparisons, but it still feels like a quantum. There was some discussion around why is it called the Q95 and not the Q3. Basically, Q for quantum. As you know, there's an F3, which is basically a liner lock version of an F95. And the Q3 would probably make a lot of sense actually in this case, but they're going the other way with it and going Q95. So there's a lot of thought that goes into this from them, not me. So they probably know what they're doing, so we'll leave it at that. They know what they're doing. Machine clip, as I mentioned earlier. It's the same clip as on the... there's your Quantium, so it's still their tried and true design of a clip. It's got that nice milling on it as well, although it is externally attached, which makes me question, will we see an internally attached version? Possibly. Let's take a look at some of the work on the inside of this. It should just be smooth, is my guess. Based on the weight, yeah, smooth tie on the inside. Perhaps at some point they'll do a milled version of the inside. Remember, this will be likely the least expensive version that is ever offered in the Q95 line. Because it is Ursus, it's their basic level. So I always just think when I see a new knife like this, I always think, well, what could they change, or what would they change to make cooler versions of it? Cooler being more expensive, more milling, higher end materials, etc. But in this case, I go like, man, they're really starting off at a very high level right out of the gate. That action is so smooth too. I believe it's on MRBS. It feels like it is. MRBS right inside here, multi-row bearing system. That's Shirogorov's high-end production bearing system, which is basically made of a number of ball bearings, and kind of, I'm assuming in this one it's going to be 3 in a row, in a circle, around a track, kind of like a pinwheel, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, like the rays of a sun. And, you know, it's not so much just for action, it actually adds a lot of side-to-side stiffness to the contact point between the blade and the frame, so pretty cool. MRBS at this price point is next level, but not as next level as that action. That's just Shirogorov ridiculousness. It's so smooth, and this one's brand new. Just next level smoothness. I haven't opened it, haven't modified it. It's what every one of them will feel like right out of the gate. As far as the Maroon Micarta, I think it looks ridiculously good. I don't know what the blue or the black versions, what's it, blue, black, and green, I think. I saw some pictures from Shirogorov. The blue looked kind of gray, like dark gray. The black looked dark gray. The blue looked I think blue, as I've seen a couple other ones from the show that popped up. The blue looks really nice, nice navy blue, a little light kind of mixed in there, and then the green I thought looked more lighter green. But once again, you can add some liquid to this and kind of change the color of it as well. I think you have to, was it oil you use on it to kind of darken it up and add that moisture back to it, or if you want to let it dry out a little, you certainly can. But these look nice and gorgeous right from the factory. The milling lines are a little bit different than the standard Quantiums, I guess. If we look at them here, you can kind of see the little bit more milling on this side. No lanyard hole in the frame. And I'll zoom in a little bit to show what the heck I'm talking about. But you can kind of see a good cross section, right? So you still get that Quantium kind of look, but less milling on the old version. And then up here it's more of a gentle texturing, whereas now it's a lot more milling on the micarta, and then this looks to be the same up top with that gentle texturing. That's actually all micro milling in front of that pivot as well. Just keep that in mind. In terms of the thickness of these knives, there's no denying that the Q95 is a thicker knife, which to me it feels like an F3 version of an F95. It's a thicker knife, right? You still have a thick back spacer in there. You still have the frame that's titanium in there. You still have micarta that wraps around it. So it's a thicker, more of an F90 or more of an F3 feeling Quantum in hand, I'd say. If that makes sense, you know, it's going to be very appealing to the Shirogorov guys. They'll understand what that means, but most people won't. It just means it's a thicker version of this, of a very familiar design. That's all, which is not a bad thing. You still have a lock bar insert on this gorgeous interface as well. You can kind of just see it there. In hand, it feels very much akin to the standard Quantum. In fact, let's look at the jimping on these two guys. They've kind of kept that profile lengthwise the same. They've kind of pinched it in the middle if it wants to focus a little bit, I'd say, comparatively, but fit and feel wise, it should be feeling very natural to a person. And then on the cutout for that flipper tab as well, you can kind of see once again they've gone with that F3 style, where they've milled both sides of it, and that's to add comfort for when you do flip, you don't hit a hard line. So it's nice and soft there for your finger. Makes a lot of sense. Multi-row bearings look good. Everything looks just terrific here, all the way around. Let's take a look at that lock bar. Is it raised too? Oh, it is. You guys, you're killing me. You guys are just killing me. It's like, sometimes I wonder. They just are so good with their designs. Look, it's raised just slightly. You don't find that on a lot of liner locks either, because it'd be so much easier to just duplicate the two sides, flip it and keep them the same. But no, they've raised one and then beveled the other. Nice little detail. Completely not needed, not necessary, but it's Shirogorov. This is what they do. They take pride in providing details of things that are completely overlooked by others. And then they just do it standard on their base model new editions. Oh, Shiro, how I love you. Once again, going back to why I love the brand, just period. Oh, it's so silky smooth. Okay, I might need to take a moment just to relax, calm myself down. On the back spacer itself, we still have a lanyard hole, which is not built into the frame, as I mentioned earlier. It's now kind of their standard style, where it's not hidden. It is hidden. It's very accessible. If you want to throw a bead in there, you certainly can. Makes a lot of sense. This is exactly what I would have asked for. Good job. Good job, guys. Blade thickness wise, it appears to be fairly thin, but probably in the, what, 275, 3 mil range. It is fairly thin, which is interesting. Like, it's got a very thick blade width to handle width ratio on this, which I was not expecting. So thin blade selection, given the width of the handle, which is fine. I should probably grab an F3 and compare them side by side. I won't, but I probably should. I'll do that when I get the other ones in, and I can do all the color comparisons in one place, and then maybe I'll grab a handful of F3s to compare it with, because it seems to be more of the direct comparable than the Quantiums or the Quantums. Size-wise, well, we'll do a couple here. We'll zoom this out and do a handful to compare it with. So let's start at the base, which is, where's my neon, a new edition neon, which you've probably seen in the store by now. That's an R1P neon, real cool. Once again, it's got a backspacer on it at an economical price point. This is basically a neon light with a backspacer and a cool pattern. So sick. This is one of the knives that is flying completely under the radar. My video on this knife was a little late to the party, and this is quietly just such a sick knife. Multi-row bearings, L-Max, backspacer on a price point neon. Super sick knife. Those won't last long. Quantum monkey edge frag. There you go. Long had this one on the channel. Just a classic. This one's on single row bearings instead of multi-row bearings. And we have our EK knives, direct competitor, which I probably shouldn't feature on the channel, but I am because I'm a nice guy. EK knives, version of the same knife as that monkey edge frag, just a little different. We'll grab the Astrum, which to me is a big neon with a tab lock, not a liner lock, not a frame lock. So super sick knife as well. But size-wise to the Q95, actually a little longer, just thinner in the handle. And these are apples to oranges in that this is now your entry-level knife for Shiro on the Q95 Ursus, and then this is a very high-end production version as well. So just keep that in mind, two complete different comparisons. And then in the middle of the neon, the Astrum, the Quantum, the F95, etc., we have a Stellar. This is also only offered in their high-end line currently, which is another fantastic knife, but fully featured. Two of the knives in the current production models are Astrum and Stellar that are only offered at the high end, which in those videos when these production versions were launched, my first question was, well, when are we going to see base models or entry-level knives with the same design? And maybe we won't, I don't know. But the Stellar's been wildly popular. We've got a couple different colors in the store right now. I'd have to look at what we have, but bronze, blue, I think are the other two. Great. Same knife all the way around though. Just different materials. And then I've got an F95 here, or this is a Hattie half tie, which is an F95 with a carbon front scale on it. Super sick knife. And I basically wanted to illustrate the flipper. They're similarly sized, but the flipper tab between the two. This is what I was referring to earlier in that, you know, the F95 or the Hattie. The flipper tab's just a different design, right? So your finger falls in front of it in conjunction with the frame. There's a little gap, there's a spot there that it falls into. Whereas this, you just follow the frame right into the flipper tab. Some people have preference for either one. I personally like both. So no real issues either way, but figured, you know, the neon as well as this style, so just keep that in mind. But all the Quantum, anything Quantum, Quantium, they're all that same style. And then if we want to get into the fancy schmancy Nancy knives, let's do a bio. And also a real cool knife. This is a Bio Dark. There's your Q95. There's your Bio Dark, just for size comparison. We can do a strip as well. And actually, I always have to open this one with the mic in front of it. Oh, God. So good. Very fat, chunky little strip. Really cool. It's called the fat strip. And I think that's actually fatter than the Q95. But it's also got a 5mm blade. I did a video on this one already. It was, geez, an hour long. And, you know, if you don't want to watch that video, I don't blame you. But if you do, I'll save you the hour and just say I love it. And that's why I have one. Super sick knife. The fit strip is basically just a regular sized version of that, and also flying well under the radar. And there's a lot more of them out there, so easier to get your hands on, but nonetheless, very, very cool. And then I'll grab the Loxa, why not? Complete polar opposites in terms of value here, but what's so cool about some of these knives, and it doesn't matter where you go in the line for Shirogorov, the technology you find in some of their entry-level knives are found in their high-end knives. And this is Shiro's first integral, first being the keyword there, focus first, which to me usually means there's a second at some point. So real cool, but absolute cool knife for Shiro, and just so well done. I did definitely watch that video if you haven't already. And then in terms of the standard knives, well, let's grab a Sebenza. There's your large Sebenza, size-wise similar. Classic knife from Chris Reeves. Chris Reeve, not Reeves, as everyone says. We can grab the Zahn as well. This is an S45 VN Zahn. And is it worth showing a small Sebenza? For those interested, well, I will. There's your small Sebenza, which is basically the size of the handle of this. Or fold it up the size of the blade. Just in case you want to know, hey, what's my small Sebenza like compared to the blade on a Shirogorov Q95? Now you know. There it is. And there it is as the handle. It's not a big knife. Everyone loves the Sebenza large, and then they're like, oh, I get a smaller version. And then they realize, whoa, that's a real small version. So there you go. There's your Shirogorov line comparison. I don't think I missed anything. I did the neon. Okay, great. There you go. If I missed something, well, we'll catch it up in the next full feature video of the Q95. Should you guys pick one up? Because I imagine at some point, right now we're filming this late June. I've heard the release on these is fairly imminent. Could be pretty soon. Just based on Shirogorov, they're very cryptic, but at the same time, on a lot of their Facebook pages, they sometimes answer people like, when are these coming out? And they'll say like end of June. So sometimes it's right around the corner. But when they do a first run of these at Blade Show in Atlanta, it typically means they're not far off. So, but you know, if I have this, it's probably in the next, couple weeks, easy. But if you're watching this video and you've stumbled upon it, say a year from now, yeah, they're going to be great. I imagine they're going to go quick. If you are stumbling into this video prior to the other 3 colors coming into me, just look for that other, just search Q95 on the channel, and I'm sure I'll have a video, you know, several weeks down the line with all the colors. If you want to do a comparison, who knows? And at that time, geez, I imagine they could even have other full versions of this knife, which I always love watching these down the line to see if I'm close on any guesses, but yeah. Okay, what am I missing here? I guess we can talk about how, and we're probably 25 minutes in, but so I better keep it short. But lots of beveling around this, lots of new milling on that bottom portion, which looks just terrific. The hardware on this side, I think, is a clear-cut winner in that it's still retaining some level of proprietariness to it in looks, but it's effectively just a hex on this side, which is awesome. So they're kind of allowing people to be a little more serviceable with the knife. The clip I love. This is on the macro photos. I always do lots on these clips because they're just things of beauty themselves. And even underneath them, there's a lot of milling. If you take them off and look at them, they're just beautiful underneath as well. The pivot collar on them are gorgeous. Well done. LMAX is an excellent blade choice. Material-wise, Their drop points are gorgeous and super consistent in that they're machine ground on the Ursus line only. Underneath that backspacer, not a whole lot going on at all. Not a whole lot going on top, although it does kind of have a little bevel towards the end that's kind of crunched in, very much akin to the F3s. If I get close, you can kind of see right on the edges what I'm talking about, how it's pinched in. Looks real nice. Once again, they don't have to do that. They could have just kept it flat. In hand, it feels like a fat or a Quantum. Honestly, it feels like a chubby version of a Quantum. So if you like the Quantum, it's going to fit like a glove. The lines on it are all classic. There's no real big changes to it. Although now that I'm looking at it, I feel like, does that milling spread a little bit? It does, yeah. It's tighter in the back than in the front. That's a nice little touch. You don't have to do that. This is what Shiro does, I swear to you. They just overlook. They're calling it maroon. To me, it's more of a red wine burgundy. Looks great. Looks real good. And I'd be curious to see what the other colors kind of look by comparison. Absolutely a home run. Honestly, this is going to be a home run for them. They're finally adding some real nice features to their entry-level price points, which, speculation-wise, you just go, I can't even wait to see what they do with this in other variants. I can just imagine a Q95 full tie, you know, thin or something. It's just going to be next level if they decide to do it. Shiro loves to do this kind of stuff, so I can't see why they wouldn't change it up. Or even, could you imagine like a full carbon, like a carbo tie version of this with M390 or Magna Cut? Oh, with a nice big thick gear backspacer. There's going to be so much cool stuff that they do. Yeah, absolutely. And also I've kind of noticed, yeah, that backspacer now, there's no track in front of it. Now that I look at it closer, usually there's a little bit of a track that it flows into. So I'm going to grab a knife that has that and show you what the heck I'm talking about, but that is completely absent. So here's that Hattie. Notice how there's that little track in front of it there? Weird. So they're tightening things up. Tightening the tolerances up ever so slightly. Love it. Love, love, love it. I love how countersunk everything is. And look at the centering and the assembly work on that pivot color, how there's no gaps, nothing. It's just all super, super tight, super consistent. They just won like a quality award for manufacturing at Blade Show as well. They know what they're doing and they're banging out just heavy hitters lately. Wow. Gorgeous knife. I can't think of anything that I could have omitted, but there are obviously all kinds of things I miss during this. This is a legit first impression of the knife. I have not played a ton with it. I literally flicked it out and then turned the camera on, which is what I think an initial impressions video should be of any knife, which is what I try to do. And absolutely banging. Jeez, everything's just so tight, so accurate. Look at the machining on this micarta in front of the scale here. It's got an internal and an external bevel around there. Oh, next level. And in hand, remember, I've got an extra large glove hand. Still have a finger, a damaged one, but I still have room for a sixth finger if need be. Fits like a glove, honestly. That's going to be a heavy hitter. Okay, I think I'm going to end there. I'm probably over half an hour, so I went way longer than expected, but this is what I do. I apologize. Check out BladeZilla.ca. I'll have these up at some point here when they're released. It'll be a regularly stocked item, I imagine, unless they change it. TikTok, Instagram, Threads, Facebook, BladeZilla.ca. I'm found on all of them. Hit me up a DM. Love to chat on IGE or whatever. Otherwise, just check the store for regularly cool stuff that I find really interesting and fascinating that are just well-made knives. These are at the top of the list currently for me, other than the bear is still on the blade, but beggars can't be choosers. I wish the Shiro bear was on the handle down here, but in Micarta, you can't do that. So you can't win them all. That would be the only thing I wish I could change on this knife. Otherwise, it's just ticks every single box that I ask for. And to boot, it's in the Ursus line at the bottom of the price range. It's just doesn't get any better than this, honestly. For Shiro, if you're curious about the brand, want to try one out, take a look at the Q95s. You'll get all the Shiro action that I swear to God is at the high-end price points. You'll get to learn what that feels like, the MRBS system, at a very, very affordable range, and get some cool features that are just not found on the current Ursus line. You'll get it on this, which is just, how does it get any better? This is great. I'm going to definitely grab one of these and start carrying them and see what I think, see how it shakes up over the next couple months. So I'll regularly have one of these guys in the case to do a lot of comparisons, and you'll see how it wears in over time and how it looks. But all things are pointing to another absolute home run for Shirogorov. Just an absolute beauty. Okay, guys. Well, I'll stop talking, and hopefully you enjoyed your beer, your coffee, your wine, your pop, whatever you're into, your soda, and I'll let you get back to your day. Appreciate you as always, and we'll see you next time, every Monday, Thursday, 7 a.m. Eastern. All right, guys. Peace.